Okay, so our first question was, how specifically did the IB prepare you for university? And we're going to start with Chloe.
Yeah, so for the IB diploma, this is something that we heard a lot when we were students, I think, because we also asked the same question, like, is this actually useful and worth my time and energy? I think the biggest thing is definitely the writing, because the IB DP makes you write so much. So I think in college, especially if you go to like a liberal arts kind of environment, you have to do a lot of writing as well. Also, I feel like in some ways it kind of helped with computer science and working in tech, because you sort of have to explain a lot, like the decisions you're making. Why did I choose to solve the problem this way? You have to explain the process of your thoughts and your brain. So I think in that way, taking a lot of the IB exams and writing out your thought process, I think that was sort of good practice implicitly. So that was something that helped me with IB.
Great, thank you. Cynthia?
Yeah, I think Chloe said a lot of the thoughts that I had too. I also went to a liberal arts college, so IB helped a lot, because when you go to a college like that, or honestly any university, you don't just get to study your major. You kind of dip your toes in a lot of different areas, and IB prepares you for that. And I think the other biggest thing for me was the workload. In IB, you're used to taking classes, doing homework, writing IAs, doing TOK, EE, like everything. And in college, you also have to juggle a lot of different things, and you're not as scared as some of the other kids that I saw with the amount of work that you do every day.
Great, thank you. Ryan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and beyond like an academic perspective, to think more like logistically, if you get credits from IB, you can apply them for your undergraduate degree once you get to college, and that can help in terms of like graduating early. You can save money on tuition, and that's more of a practical perspective. But yeah, I echo everything that Chloe and Cynthia said. Academically, it's great help. College, was a lot easier than I expected it to be when I went there.
Great, thank you. We also had some questions from parents, and one of the questions was, when you look back, how do you think parents can best support their children through the DP? So I'm going to ask Casey to answer this question first.
I think that the two main things that my parents did that helped me were routine and organization. So my parents would tell me to go to sleep if I was working on something past midnight, because they would say that if I hadn't prepared ahead of time to have it done by then I shouldn't turn it in. I should just sleep and have it be late. And another thing that they helped me with was looking at how I was organizing my schoolwork. And there was a point where in freshman year, I had papers everywhere. I was doing math like all over the page, and they were telling me that it would pay dividends if I learned to organize my thoughts on paper better and get better at organizing myself. And I think that those two things really helped me when I went to college, because I was used to going to bed and keeping a healthy, regular human routine throughout.
Great, thank you. Chloe, do you want to add something as well?
Yeah, I think during the IB diploma, it's like you have things to do all the time. You always have deadlines to meet. And I think a big thing that can happen, if not in high school, then maybe later in college, is academic burnout, where you're just so tired from doing everything every day that you just don't have the energy anymore to keep doing it. So I think it's important to find ways to sort of try to make yourself enjoy your learning and not be miserable doing it. So I think what I was very grateful to my parents for was that they let me just study anything I wanted to study. They never put restraints on, I think you need to do this path, I think you need to take this subject, I think in college you need to take this subject. So I think giving your students more academic freedom and pursuing what they want to learn in IB is pretty important for the long term.
Wow, that's an amazing nugget of wisdom there. We'll definitely use that as a quote, I'm sure. Thank you. Okay, so sometimes students wonder like why they're doing all the extra stuff, like the CAS and the EE and the TOK and all those things. And so we've asked our graduates and our alumni what they remember from doing these things and whether there was any lasting impact or effect on them. And the first person who's going to answer that question is Priscilla.
Yeah, so like all my other classmates said, IB really helps you think critically and put that down on paper. It helps you practice a lot of writing, which is something that students who come from like AP schools or other students that I've met during my undergraduate years did not have prior experience with. So especially the EE, I want to highlight, like, as a high schooler, people really don't have experience of like writing a full on paper on a topic that they choose independently and look for evidence and like investigate further into for like months. Even I forget how long EE was, but like for months and months. So that really comes in like grad school life, which I can like really relate to right now. I feel like having done the EE, like writing papers and like having it structured that way, sort of having that like first research paper writing experience through the EE really helped me like throughout college and is really helping me right now. Like I hear from my professors a lot that like even as a first year master's student, like I wasn't taught to write that way, but a lot of my professors were very impressed with like what I had, and I think that was really because I was taught that through the EE and TOK as well, and all the oral presentations. Like as a graduate student, you have to go to a lot of conferences and do a lot of meetings with collaborators that you're working with, because you're not only researching with people in your lab. And so those oral skills, I think, I also benefited from like TOK presentations and having EE meetings with my EE advisor. So I think like having that extensive writing experience through the other components of the full DP really benefited me.
Great. And then we do hear that a lot about the extended essay, actually. That is really helpful. Cynthia?
Yeah, I also think that the EE was super helpful in preparing you to just be not as frightened when you get these larger research papers in college. But another part that I really enjoyed was CAS. Some of the activities that I was able to do through CAS helped me look around in my community, which I realized is super important, because once you go to college, it's important to study well and whatnot, but it's great to look around and have a great support system with people around you. And I think CAS kind of pushes you to do that. So yeah, enjoyed everything there.
Thank you very much. Casey, do you want to add something on either CAS, the EE, or TOK?
Yeah, for my CAS project, I had to organize an event, and I think that experience I was not good at, or the event was not well planned at all. But I think that skills like reaching out to people, planning events, like these are practical skills that you aren't taught in an explicit class in high school, but are actually really important when you get to college and you're networking, you're trying to meet with people, you're running organizations, and having that practice as part of IB was good. Another thing about CAS EETOK that was good for me is figuring out what your capacity is, because you don't want to overcommit, you don't want to overextend yourself. So knowing sort of your level and your limits are good, so that when you get to college, a common problem that a lot of people have is they take very hard classes, they overload themselves with a bunch of commitments. But I feel like because of high school and IB, I had a good sense of which classes I should wait to take until I was farther along in college. So I took easier classes my freshman year because of that experience, and that really helped too.
Great, thank you so much. Great advice. And so we're going to go straight to actually direct advice for those guys. So what advice would you have for current seniors who are about to go into exam season and transition to university? Or for juniors who are in the middle of the DP, about to start their extended essay tomorrow, I believe, actually. So it's very real. Seniors, don't laugh, that's mean, just because you're done. So some practical advice or perspective maybe that you have for these guys would be really welcome. We're going to start with Ryan.
Yeah, so I think overall what SFS really taught me personally was just an extreme work ethic that was kind of ingrained in me since I was a young age. And you guys probably all understand and feel it by now as upperclassmen, like the workload is really immense. But that kind of work ethic really carries over and it sticks with you for a long time. And it goes a long way, honestly, because honestly, the workload in college, yeah, you think the extended essay is bad, but you're gonna have times where you have like 3 of those due in like 1 week, right? And just being able to tackle that and, you know, even outside of the classroom, but being able to go out to clubs, being able to meet people and just being like well-rounded individuals, it does have a long-term effect and will kind of help you in terms of your success. But I think the most important thing from high school is just like, when I look back on it, enjoy it a lot more because, you know, all the people around you are gonna end up doing like incredibly interesting and cool things later on in life. But right now, you guys are all here together, and honestly, there might be never a time again when you guys are all together like this. So just like kind of being aware of that, like, yeah, you should, you know, work hard and tackle school and take it seriously, but you should also try to enjoy the friendships you have and I guess like the kind of youthful freedom that you have right now.
Great. That's very true. They do work slightly too hard sometimes. I shouldn't say that as a principal, probably, but Priscilla?
Yeah, so I know for seniors, you're gonna have your exams, and it seems like IB is done, and for juniors, it seems like the E is like must be very stressful at this point, but really like, and I know a lot of people tell you at the high school level, and I've heard it as a high schooler myself too, like when people tell you to like enjoy it, like, you know, it's really hard to know what that means. But then looking back at it, like enjoy it means, I think trying to enjoy the experience also means like, you know, just fully being a part of it and like really appreciating the resources that you have and the program that you're in right now. Because I feel like honestly, my appreciation for the IB program and the full DP program, like it grew after I graduated and like post, you know, undergrad and everything because of like the benefits that I'm realizing now. I also think it really helps you become an independent learner. I know teachers have always told us IB makes you an independent learner, independent thinker, and I didn't know what that meant. Like I thought, you know, you do your thinking independently, that's like obvious and that's a common thing that everyone shares, but it's really not. Like I was surprised to see my peers who were just, you know, very motivated by like exams, especially coming from AP schools. Like most of them are just, you know, motivated by, oh, I have an exam or I have like something due. So they're only motivated by deadlines, whereas like IB helps you like think critically really, and like it helps you be immersed in learning. So I would say just enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the IB, and enjoy all the resources you have.
Great, thank you. You should work for the IB, Priscilla. I think you're a pretty good advocate. Casey, would you like to give some advice to our audience as well?
To juniors right now, I guess I would say to something that I didn't realize until afterwards is that a lot of the things I did in high school at that age, at junior year, at senior year, that was the last time I would ever do that. I haven't really taken a science class to that depth ever again. So when people say that, you know, the knowledge that you learn while you're in high school or middle school, that has to last you a lifetime, like that is actually true. And I think that I don't know, it's sort of a cool thing. Even if you hate something, I guess that it could be a motivator that this is the last time that you'll really be immersed in doing it. If you really love it, you can keep going. But that's just something that I didn't realize. And looking back, it's cool that I spent that time at SFS, which has amazing opportunities to learn. And for seniors going to university, I guess I would just say that my biggest piece of advice would be to take easy classes freshman year and to make sure that you're talking to people because I'm only a couple years out from college, but it's really not things like grades or or prestigious clubs or activities that get people best or better jobs. And also what people think is a better job varies then too. So I'd say more than anything, don't lose yourself in trying to collect things like that.
Great. That comes from the Stanford. I love it. That's great. It's very true. It gives them a lot of perspective. Thank you so much. We're going to talk now about what is it about the IB that stayed with you into adulthood? Like, what are there some things that kind of made you who you are now, and that you feel you're a different person for having gone through the experience? And Ryan's going to talk to us about that.
I think I accidentally answered this question in the previous one, but I think overall, I think what Casey said is very true. The IB kind of challenges you to do a lot of different things through the CAS program, and a lot of the club activities or even sports that I did in high school, I don't really do anymore. So I think just those various experiences that you have kind of build towards your character in terms of handling different kind of environments, handling different kind of teams and people. And that sticks with you, I think, for a really long time, and just having those kind of challenges throughout. But yeah, as I said before, I just want to just say again, like pretty much the work ethic is what I really got from the IB program, and being able to, carry that over into college and, my career. So if anyone else has something to add.
Thank you, that's great. And Priscilla, did you want to add something as well?
Yeah, I think this was mentioned before, but like both academic and non-academic rigor that I've acquired through the IB program has really stuck with me. Like, I was less surprised than some of my other peers at college when I was overwhelmed with a lot of work and a lot of stress. And I think IB really helped me be prepared for that. And another thing is, I feel like I was sort of matured. I was matured through the IB program as a more like well-rounded person in terms of like interests. So I know like people who take AP commonly just take APs that they're good at, or that might make them look like a better candidate to college admissions or something. So it's usually like centered around like a specific field or area of study. But then because you have to do like all subjects well-roundedly in the IB, I think that really helped me become like have spread out interests within like other things other than my major, which is engineering. So I took a lot of like electives outside of my major, and being in a very big institution, Cornell is like really huge, has a lot of departments and majors. Like, I think I was able to utilize all my resources that was given to me because I was aware of the fact that I'm interested in different things, and the fact that this institution can give me resources. So I think that's something that a lot of like college graduates regret about when they tell, so college alumni come back to colleges saying like, oh, I wish I would have looked outside of my major or my department and explored more things, because like you're sitting in an institution where you have a lot of resources. So I think that's what stuck with me. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. And then we're going to finish, I think, with Cynthia. One more, if you want to either give advice to those guys about anything, or remember something that has stuck with you, either about SFS or the IB. It's a pretty open question for you.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we've already gone over so many great points. On a more lighthearted note, I don't know if my friends here have experienced the same thing, but if you meet someone in college and they also took the IB diploma, there's an instant connection you feel. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, people that took AP, they're just like, oh, yeah, you also took AP. But if someone else took IB, you're like, oh, you took IB. So that's one quick way to make friends in college.
I heard that a lot. So, yeah, that's a great tip. Like, kind of recognize each other. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys. That's really, really helpful. And I hope you, grades 11 and 12, found this inspiring, and it reassures you a little bit about the hardship you're going through right now. So if we can give our alumni a big round of applause. Okay, and talking about alumni, Mr. Dehaan's going to quickly tell you a little bit about that side of SFS, because very soon you will be one as well. And there's a whole network out there. It was actually pretty easy to find these guys. I find it really cute that you're all in the same class, because that means that's like a mini reunion. We'll have to take a photo with Casey's screen. But that will be you. Very soon that will be you. You'll be an alumni, and there's a whole world of activities and reunions and all that. So Mr. Dehaan's going to talk a little bit about that for just a couple of minutes, and then we'll let you go, okay?
Thank you, appreciate that. Again, I'm Eric Dehaan, the Director of Alumni Relations. I've met some of you in clubs or this or that, but I'm so excited for you seniors. You'll very soon be joining a very large alumni body. So I want to share a little bit of alumni news for you that will impact you and hopefully help you in your future. So one of the key missions of the Alumni Association is to build a strong network. In the fact that SFS is 110 years old, we're very unique in Korea and in Asia with such a long history. So we have over 6,000 individuals around the globe, a lot in North America, obviously Asia, Europe as well. And a big part of what we do is try to work really hard to network them together to help one another. And they can help you. And so we're developing a program. First of all, we have developed sfsconnect.com. And you'll be encouraged over this spring, seniors and some of the juniors as well, to join this platform, which basically is a private alumni network that has hundreds of alumni on it that have indicated that specifically they would love to help you, graduates, meet for coffee, find internships, talk about careers and that type of thing. So specifically, we're starting a new program for the class of 23 called Mentor Point. Mentor Point is basically an opportunity for you to have a group mentor that is based for you each year. Juniors, you'll do that. Then in the senior year, you have that opportunity. You'll choose your type of mentor based on your university location or your career, your interest in what you may have. And it will basically last for 7 months. So this spring, you'll be hearing more about this. You'll be asked in different forums to decide, hey, I'm headed to New York City, and I'd like to have a mentor in that area, or I think I'm going into law or AR or computer science. Could I have a mentor there? And again, it's going to be a group situation. So it's not you just kind of reaching out to this unknown person. And you'll receive lots of training and facts about how to use it, as well as parents. And it'll be an opportunity to really work towards the goals that are laid out above. So they'll give you advice about university. They'll give you advice about finding internships when you're in college. Most of you, when you graduate, you're going to work for an employer for 2 to 3 years, statistically. Then you're going to look for another job. How do you most find a job? You network with people. So you'll network with your peers at university, but who really loves you? SFS fellow graduates. So they will be there to help you in that process as well. So you'll connect either online or in person. Obviously, if you're going to a certain city, you'll be able to connect with that person in a group, so it won't be intimidating. And finally, parents who watch this video, if you could encourage your students to consider this opportunity, it will be a tremendous possibility for them in building their soft skills and their networks into the future. So we'd appreciate your parental support. Thanks, guys. I think you're dismissed.
Thanks again, alumni, and thank you guys for being a lovely audience. Bye-bye. Have a nice lunch.